welcome back to the channel, everyone. I hope the week is treating you well. I hope you're enjoying this hobby that we all love. It's time for another midweek market update where we crawl the Pokemon market and see what's happening and keep you informed. If that sounds good to you, sit back, relax, and welcome to PokeMarketLab. All right, it's time for my favorite time of the week. I love just crawling Pokemon market, see what's happening, and it's actually pretty dull this week, right? We're in the middle of this summer doldrums. We're eagerly awaiting Black Bolt, White Flare, which we're going to talk about here in a second. Which set are you team? Hashtag Team Black Bolt, White Flare in the comments below to let me know which team you are on. One of these boxes, one of these sets is going to win. So we'll look at that here in a second. A reminder, if you love what we're doing here at PokeMarketLab, we would love a comment, your subscription, a like, and reminder, check out, if you're looking to get product for MSRP or at least cheap, check out Sleeved TCG, link in the description, a Discord community, but those are a dime a dozen. This isn't just that. It is an in-stock notification system, so you can get on the Pokemon Center queue, Walmart's queue, Target's lack of a queue. But hey, you know, if you're starving for product at cheap prices, I know I am. I am a value investor. I ain't chasing $120 ETBs, right? Check out Sleeved TCG. Let's get started. We are rapidly approaching the release of Black Bolt and White Flare. So we're going to start here with the Pokemon Center boxes. If you missed the initial release of these, we should get both Black Bolt, White Flare, Pokemon Center ETBs on the release day, which I should have mentioned here, July 18th. So we are rapidly approaching that. So if you missed that Pokemon Center ETB drop, remember that exclusive ETB with the promo. There's two of them. We got two different sets here, Black Bolt, White Flare. We should have an option, a possibility of snagging that on release day. Usually some come into stock, and I would wager we're going to see 1 to 2 more drops in the weeks and months after that July 18th release, like we've seen with Destined Rivals and we've seen with Prismatic Evolutions. I think the Pokemon Company's just intending to put out more of these Pokemon Center exclusive boxes because they're hot. So, again, use a service like Sleeve so you at least get that notification when that security system, when that queue goes up. It's not a guarantee. However, most people, within that Discord community seem to be able to hit if they get in that queue in a reasonable amount of time. And we have seen these queues for these products hang on there a lot longer just because of that limitation, that purchase limit, as well as the amount of product that the Pokemon Company is putting out there. So I don't think I would ever chase after this kind of pricing, $300 for Pokemon Center ETB. We do almost always, I will say always on this, see a drop on Pokemon Center ETB pricing on the secondary market on release day because all those individual sellers, trying to make a quick buck, post all their product on release day. Remember, none of this comes from distribution. You can only get these from the Pokemon Center. So it's all these individual sellers putting that product up for sale. So you will see a crash on this price on release day. If you haven't been able to snag them, do you catch them if they drop in price? Do you wait for an opportunity to get them in the Pokemon Center? That's up to you. If you drop these, if these drop to 150, not a terrible price, knowing what that performance is going to be like long term. Again, I'm speaking from a position of having pre-ordered these, so I'm happy with that. If I didn't have these, I would probably still wait for a drop. I think these are going to do exceptionally well long term, like most of the Pokemon Center versions are. But again, I think do not pay this price. No one should be paying this price on TCG Player. Unfortunately, 14 people have, though they might cancel their order. So just keep that in mind. Same thing here for the Black Bolt one, same price. Don't chase this. Wait for release day if you're going to buy it on the secondary market. On to the regular ETBs for Black Bolt, White Flare. We're seeing, I think the hype for this set is pretty good. I mean, I'm excited. I'm probably like same level as Destined Rivals excited, maybe a little bit more. I'm liking the set. We're just not seeing it represented in the pre-sale numbers here. So I don't know if this is, people kind of having that experience with Destined Rivals where they were able to buy it in the store. Like if you really wanted to, you could catch individual packs, blisters, bundles, ETBs at Walmart or Target in store. If you went to a couple different stores on a weekend, it didn't seem like it was terribly difficult. Is this representative of just people's hype for the set? Wallet fatigue, summer slowdown? I don't know, but the pre-sale numbers here with only the sell period has only been a couple months here. It's only less than 600 boxes pre-sold. or just people like, hey, you know what? I'm not paying $120 for an ETB here. This is certainly not a Prismatic Evolution situation where we saw massive pre-sales prior to release here. So I think it's a solid set, certainly not level of Prismatic Evolutions. And I think people are just, even myself, just getting like fed up paying pretty high prices for just an ETB. And, again, we're hearing rumors of Black Belt White Flare are going to be short printed or short allocated on release. We have no idea if that's true or not. I think what we saw on like Destined Rivals and Journey Together in terms of the volume of product that hit the market on release day was really good. I think it was actually quite high. So kudos to the Pokemon Company for that. I hope that's the case here. Where again, if you really want product, you can hit a GameStop or two or a Target or two and manage to snag at least a booster bundle or something. So, I'm not chasing this price at this product. I mean, if Prismatic Evolutions is any indicator, again, what the Pokemon Company is going to do in terms of reprints 6 months down the road, same thing's going to happen here. I think under these should be and probably will be at least a few months down the road here under $100 a box. At which point, if you hit them at $85, $80 a box, maybe that's a better deal. So same situation here with White Flare. We're not going to beat a dead horse on this. We're going to talk about Shrouded Fable Pokemon Center ETBs. I do think this is a pretty decent buy with it being the cheapest Pokemon Center ETB, I believe. I'm pretty sure it's cheaper than Twilight. I think this is a decent buy under $100. If you missed out on this, these are pretty scarce. I think the box art is actually pretty decent. It's not, we talked about Pokemon Go this week. It's not a Pokemon Go situation in terms of terrible set. We've seen even, Pokemon Go, terrible set, no promo in there, and even those start to rise, right? So I think this is actually a pretty decent buy. These are pretty scarce. I think this is before we started to see the Pokemon Company jack up the print runs on the Pokemon Center version. So I think I would go ahead and take a look at this if you're interested in Shrouded Fable. Maybe you haven't gotten Shrouded Fable at all and you want to get some exposure to it. This is the way to go with, I think, regular ETBs pushing past $70 a box now. Spend an extra $25, get a Pokemon Center ETB, much more scarce. And then on to Twilight Masquerade. Just want to talk about, some of these mid-level, some of these mid-time period Scarlet and Violet sets here. Just the amount of products still out there is surprising. We're starting to see a shift on some of the later Scarlet and Violet stuff. We're seeing a lot more boxes come to market, which is interesting. So we're seeing a lot more willingness to sell. So before it was Twilight Masquerade boxes, I think, got under current quantity listed on TCG Player, get under 200 boxes at one point. And now we're seeing approaching 500. And I think this is just just people willingness to sell. I think the price has gotten to a point, $283 a box. A lot of people are trying to cash out. But we're still seeing the demand, right? We're still seeing the demand on the purchasing side. So there really hasn't been any need for the price to drop. The amount of supply hitting the market, there's enough demand to kind of counterbalance that where the prices. Remember, we talked about if we're going to look at this from kind of visualize supply and demand, you have the supply of products sitting at the top. You have the price kind of in the middle, and then you have the foundation of the demand of the product, right? So if there's a lot of supply, but there's not enough demand to push back on that pressure, what happens to the price, right? Price starts to drop, kind of gets pulled down. If there's a lot of demand, that kind of pushes the price up along with squeezing up against that supply. I kind of think that's a decent way of thinking about it here. So again, just a cautionary tale. There's a lot more boxes than people realize sitting on shelves. We're starting to see a sea change where there's more willingness to sell. I think we saw this. Let's take a look at, let's see here, Surging Sparks. Do I have Surging Sparks pulled up? I don't. Surging Sparks, I should have had pulled up here, but same thing. We're seeing over 1,000 boxes listed. I think that reprint for Surging Sparks was pretty heftier than people realize. But again, it's not just that. The willingness to sell is there. There's just enough demand to support that. If that demand starts to dry off, starts to wane, starts to say, hey, you know what? I'm not willing to pay these prices for these boxes, or I've bought too much, or I got too much wallet fatigue, and that starts to wane, then that pressure of the supply on the market is going to start pushing that price down. People are going to start fighting over each other. But we just haven't seen that run to liquidate product quickly. It is moving quickly. You can sell product within 24 hours. I mean, Twilight Masquerade here, a set that's been out for a while, you're still selling an average of 2 boxes a day at a very hefty price. So still markets, again, slowing down, but we're just not seeing the price depreciation. In fact, this is up 11% in the last month. Paldea Evolved is on a freaking tear, 25% up in the last month. We are starting to see finally starting to slow down on the volume of boxes sold at this price. Remember, the willingness to buy a product is typically going to be at different price points. That demand is going to wane, right? You're up against a certain price point. People are like, I'm priced out of that, or I'm going to look at other product and think that maybe, and look at the value there and say maybe that's a better value at that price point. So we're seeing a little bit of drop down in volume. We saw it kind of pump up here when really FOMO kicked in on this product. The price started to go up. We're like, oh crap, I don't want to get priced out, and a lot of people hopped in. And this is really expensive at this point. I would argue for this set, this is too expensive for me. It was too expensive at 300. I think 368 for set. That's really not terribly old at this point. This is far too expensive for me. Just to kind of buoy this against some other information, Paldea Evolved is more expensive than Silver Tempest at this point. It's more expensive than, let's see, it's almost as expensive as Brilliant Stars. I mean, that's just, to me, that just does not make any sense. But again, that's just my opinion. It's a fine set. I would actually put it probably right in line with Brilliant Stars in terms of just set rating for me. But that's, I mean, for a bit more money, quite a bit more money, I should say. Lost Origins, I don't think this is the same caliber of set to be competing in the same category as some of these older, better sets, in my opinion. So that's I would caution you to chasing Paldea Evolved. Again, I'm saying that from a position of having a lot of the product, so I can say that. If I had none, I'd probably be pissed off and be like, yeah, I want to get it at whatever price. I don't want to miss out. That's that fear of missing out. But again, you have to. And again, this is all going to go back to, I've said this a million times before, this is going to go back to how long are you going to hold on to the product for? If you just want it, you want it just to have in your collection, you don't care about the value, then obviously go all in. If you care about the value long term, if you're going to be in this hobby for a long period of time, then some of this is not going to matter. Yeah, Paldea Evolved 10 years down the line is going to be $1,000 a box, but are you actually going to be in the hobby in that period of time? That is really the question. Not whether it's worth it at this price right now. We know what's going to happen from a macro standpoint. Let's go on to Fusion Strike. Just talking about boxes here. In Sword and Shield, we are seeing some pullback here in some price, but as well as to the demand. Right, you're in a different category with some of these boxes. I would argue that we're probably in a different situation in terms of the demographic of people who are buying boxes right now for Scarlet and Violet. A lot of people coming into the hobby. A lot more than what we even saw during Sword and Shield and during the COVID era, and probably different people. So people coming into the hobby again, as well as new people. So that means that a lot of people just were not exposed to Sword and Shield. So I think the demand, especially when you get into certain price territories, compared to how much demand there is for Scarlet and Violet and people who have been exposed to Scarlet and Violet, I think is different. So I think we're just seeing a little bit of a pullback here. And obviously any kind of opportunity to purchase any of this, if you missed out, again, this is expensive stuff, but this is best of breed, even outside. Fusion Strike to me is easily top 3 or 4. If you were to smush Scarlet and Violet and Sword and Shield together, it's still best of breed. So phenomenal set. So any opportunity. I think the other thing we're seeing here too is a focus on cheaper product from Sword and Shield. We're seeing a run up in ETBs, Pokemon Center ETBs. It's a lot easier pill to swallow, a cheaper pill to swallow than some of these expensive boxes. But you're in a different territory here. We're slowing down when we're getting into the summer months. So this is not unexpected, not cause for concern, in my opinion. 151 Pokemon Center ETBs are up 15% in the last month. These are exceedingly rare at this point. These are probably, let me think, in Scarlet and Violet, probably the collector's item. I'm trying to think of anything more collectible than this. Compare it to, what's the comparison in Scarlet and Violet? It's really going to be Prismatic Evolutions, Pokemon Center ETBs, which will have been printed, I'll say it right now, 5x more, maybe 10x more than Pokemon Center 151. It's just a complete guess, but we've seen how many drops on those Pokemon Center ETBs for Prismatic. There's just no comparison in scarcity. 151 is 151. It is the OG. It's a beautiful box art. These are exceptionally rare, so if you have them, please hold on to these. These are collector's items. These will absolutely be $1,000 a pop. The market is still willing to purchase these, even at this price. You're seeing here, let's zoom in here. You can see, yeah, we're selling still an average of 1 of these per day in the last month, even at this price. So that's crazy. So even I think this can continue to rise. I think this will absolutely be $1,000 box at some point in the future. I'm very, very lucky and appreciative to have a couple of these for the collection, not even considering moving any of these regardless of the price hike on this. This is just easy money long term. And I think this has, when we talk about future potential in product, this to me has if these were selling for $1,000 a year from now, that wouldn't surprise me. There's plenty of upside potential on these. These are a absolute collector's item. My only concern with 151 again is the dilution of 151 in terms of the volume of product hitting the market, but these will be on a completely different territory again, regardless of what the contents of the box are. It's just a very, very scarce product of a set that is beloved. Journey Together, surprising to see this holding on as well as it has, actually up 2% in the last month. Seems to have found its footing where, the right people are finding it at the right price here and buying it, still selling 8 boxes a day. Extremely, extremely healthy. And I think, it's just surprising to see how much product had hit the market, that it held on as well as it did. Again, just goes to show how strong this market is. So I think this seems like a pretty appropriate price. It just makes sense to me. $200, it's $50 less than Destined Rivals. I still think, for $30 more, Surging Sparks is probably a better buy at this point, but certainly holding its own. On to Sea and Sky collection, Sea and Sky Premium collection for Crown Zenith. I always talk about Crown Zenith. I'm sorry. I'm putting this at the end of the video. Most people have clicked off at this point. I urge you to make sure you have some exposure to Crown Zenith. Even if never fell in love with it, never had a chance to open it. In terms of if you're just looking for a capture of value in terms of future potential, this is an absolute must-have. Whether that's the Sea and Sky collection or anything in Crown Zenith, even an ETB here, these are just really starting to appreciate pretty fast here. We're seeing a slowdowns in some other boxes, some other products, but we're still seeing Crown Zenith is doing exceptionally well. Sea and Sky collection's up 10% in the last month. I have not heard of any rumors of us getting any more of these. These we did see, was it Costco, Sam's Club? I can't remember. I get them confused all the time, but we saw these in stock, many drops. I was able to snag a bunch of these, again, using Sleeved to get that, quick notification that they are in stock. Snagged a bunch of these. I love Crown Zenith. This is a fantastic product if you're going to open, if you're a rip and shipper. They're big. They're bulky. If you're, concerned about storage potential in terms of ripping and water damage and things like that, grab the ETB instead. These are massive. If you want to open Crown Zenith, that's absolutely the way to go. Hit that Sea and Sky collection. But these are, again, I would not be surprised to see these at $300 in a year. Yeah, a year. I think Crown Zenith is going to, even if we see a slowdown on the market, I think Crown Zenith is going to buck that trend. In terms of future growth, we're seeing ETBs just really drying up pretty quickly here, even though the price has gone up quite a bit in the last year, even up in the last month, 5%. Let's see, we're up 30% on the ETB in the last 3 months. We're seeing very healthy sales volume here, averaging 5 per day in the last month sold. Just, again, this is a best of breed product. This is top, it probably is the top set right up there with, what is my favorite set right now? I think that's a good video idea. What is my favorite set? Doing some tier rankings on sets. That changes over time, by the way. It should for you too. You open product, you fall in love with it, or you open product. I'm talking about you, Prismatic Evolutions, and you fall out of love with it because of the pull rates or what have you. Crown Zenith is just, again, to me, is best of breed. It's phenomenal. But again, this isn't just that it's a great product. I had great experience opening it. That matters. It's not just, I can understand how people, wouldn't fall in love with a $180 box today because it's just too expensive. So, but I would urge you, look at anything in Crown Zenith, even if it's not the ETB or Sea and Sky collection. There's other stuff here, cheaper boxes, smaller boxes. There's tins. There's lots of ways to get exposure to Crown Zenith. I would urge you just to have exposure to it. I think we're in a period for Crown Zenith where the amount of supply out there is getting lower and lower and lower. Yes, it's sitting on people's shelves, but I would argue that the amount of Crown Zenith that's going to be out there in the future versus even, 151, again, the dilution of 151 is concerning to me. It has the demand and will have the demand in the future because of what it is. But Crown Zenith, it just seems like it's just going to be a lot more scarce, and it's just a beloved set. So that's it for our midweek market update. Again, I hope you're having an awesome week. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. Would love your subscription if you like what we're doing here. I would love a like or a comment. I try to answer as many questions as I can. And with that, we will see you on the next video. PokeMarketLab out.